Welcome everyone to another episode of Jazz on Sports. I'm your host, Jasmine Pollock, and today we have a lot of sports topics to get into, even some that I have added because things, the world of sports, nothing stops. It's 24 hours, everything just pops off. So before we get started, I want to thank everyone. I don't know if everyone saw my post on LinkedIn where I reached over 13,000 views accumulated on my YouTube. I am so grateful and thankful for all of you for your continued support. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Leon. Thank you, everyone who is constantly rooting for me and content-wise. Thank you all for just giving your comments and different things like that. I'm very much appreciative. And nonetheless, let's get into it. So before we get into the topics, there's breaking news out of Lambeau. We got Jordan Love not going to be practicing until they have his contract done. Now, I'm a Packers fan, as you all can see behind me. And we all know the Packers have been in the news for the past few years now. So many different things have been happening with Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones now gone, Josh Jacobs there. Just a lot going on. So hopefully we get a job done. Packers Nation, we need this job done because he is our future. We traded up for him to be Aaron Rodgers' replacement. So I expect them to get a deal done this week. They need to get a deal done this week to make sure he's back at practice so we can get this ball rolling. So the first topic of the day is Brandon Aiyuk requesting a trade. Now, I'm not surprised about this because we all know that there's been some rifts going on between him and the organization. He's a very good player. And what's astonishing about all of this is he is one of the young receivers in this league that's very reliable, can catch very well, can route run very well. He's one of the best route runners in the league. And ever since he's came into the league since 2020, he has improved with the 49ers. He had his best statistical year last season with over 1,000 points, even though he was one shy away from tying his career record for touchdowns. He had 7 touchdowns last season, and he averaged 17 yards a reception. So, I mean, for the 49ers, I don't know if this is a good deal for them, but Brandon Aiyuk, I hope he gets his money. I hope some teams pick him up. I know the Steelers, Jets, and the Patriots have been in the loop about it and trying to make a bid for him before the draft just happened, but the deal wasn't done. So hopefully he gets picked up. I think he's a very good asset. Whoever gets him, he is a very reliable receiver. He knows very well how to get to his spots. He catches very well, so he should get his money and he should be in a situation that benefits him. Next we have on the list is the USA men's basketball team had an epic scare against South Sudan. So we all know, just a little bit before we get into the team USA, let's talk about South Sudan. South Sudan, this is their first international tournament ever as a team playing together. This is the first time that they've played together and had a international team. This is a team that doesn't have any indoor basketball courts in their country. Playing outdoors, a lot of facilities that us USA fans are able to see, the Sudan natives do not have. So for them to compete with Team USA the way they did and make it a game the way they did, and most of the game, they were up by 16 points and they were up by 14 at half. So for them, this is a great move, and this just shows where foreign and international basketball is compared to the Team USA, because USA is not the same as it was a few years ago where you can just steamroll through teams and look over teams because you have a LeBron James or a Steph Curry or a Kevin Durant and guys like that. So the league is changing. Basketball is changing. Other teams are catching up. We look at the league right now. The teams that are being led by is foreign players. You have Nikola Jokic, you have Luka Doncic, you have Giannis, you have Embiid. You have so many guys who are competing at a high level. You look at Victor Wembanyama, who was the number 1 overall pick last season. You're starting to see a lot of foreign guys come in and dominate in our league, and it's amazing to watch, especially what they've came from to what they are in the WNBA, in the NBA. And it's just a big deal because I do believe that the USA team overlooked Sudan 100%, because you are the USA team. You have been running the show for the longest time, and you've had a lot of historic moments. But Sudan really put the world on notice and put the USA on notice to make sure that they're a lot more prepared. But let's dissect the game. LeBron James did what he always does. 25 points overall. He led in all scoring, which included the game-winning layup for them with 8 seconds left in the game. Down the stretch, Anthony Davis was getting rebounds. He was getting blocks, and the defense tightened up a lot better. Sudan was able to, for them to get into that big lead, they were hitting down shots in the first half, and those shots were 3, so that was a big deal. Steph Curry down the stretch was doing what he needed to do to make the shots. Everyone started to pitch in and start to wake up. Defense got a lot better. And down the stretch, LeBron James did what he always does, and he took over the game in that second half. So when we look at it, I do think that Team USA, they acknowledge that this was a wake-up call for them, and this is a moment of, hey, we need to make sure that we're on 10 and not overlooking these teams, because it's not the same anymore. These teams are getting better. Foreign players are getting better, and they are catching up. And actually, they have caught up to Team USA, but I think they'll change it around. And I do think they will play a lot better in the coming as they prolong in the tournament. Shout out to LeBron James. It was announced this morning that he will be the first player ever to hoist the American flag for Team USA. That is a phenomenal feat for LeBron James. He continues to add to his legacy. We see what his son is doing. We see him being the all-time leading scorer in basketball, and then doing what he needs to do as a leader for the Team USA. It's just phenomenal to see him, as long as he's been doing this, continuing to add to his legacy. So shout out to LeBron. He's my favorite player, and I love him. So this is a really big deal for him and Team USA basketball. Next, we're going to talk about his son, Bronny James. Bronny James, we all know there's been a lot of questions about, is he a pro? Can he do it? Can he compete in this level? And yes, he can. We saw these last 2 games. He has really, really turned the corner. He averaged a combined total of 25 points. He picked up his shooting 10 of 21, 3 for 8 from the field. He is really starting to improve in his game. Defensively, I have no questions about him, because I do think he can be a very good defensive player in this league. I think that he has a shot of playing a good 10, 15 minutes, maybe 10 to 12 minutes with his father in the regular season. I do think offensively, he's picked it up, even though he started 0 of 15 this first 4 games. And I know there's a lot of things going on. I said this on my last show about Bronny. There's a lot of things going on in his head, even though I believe LeBron and Savannah have done a great job of preparing him for this moment, but it's huge. I mean, I'm the son of one of the biggest athletes in the world, one of the richest athletes in the world. And the spotlight is on me, essentially. Everyone is watching me to see if I can live up to that hype. Can I live up to who my dad is? I bear his name. I'm a junior. I'm his, second coming to him. And he is dealing with a lot of pressure that a lot of players have never faced. A lot of them have never faced this moment of, you are about to play with your dad, and we know what your dad's standard is, and you have to be that. So for Bronny, I am so proud of him for his last 2 games. He picked it up. He's played a lot better, and I do think he's going to continue to improve. And I do not approve of people not calling him a pro. We cannot sit here and discount a player based off of the summer league. They're getting their feet wet. They're learning the experiences. They're having the experiences of playing together. We look at the 2nd overall pick in the NBA. He hasn't been playing well, but is that indicative of him being the 2nd overall pick? No, he deserved that spot. Bronny was the 55th overall pick for a reason. He didn't have the best college football career, but he played well. And one thing I will say about Bronny is his energy. You never see him be lazy. He always hustles. He's always willing to be coached, and he is very coachable. That you can do a lot with. It's not one thing that he's cocky because, oh, I'm LeBron James' son, so I can do what I want to do. He's never came off that way. He's came off as a very upstanding young man, carried himself very well, knows how to articulate himself, and he's very coachable, and he supports his teammates, and he wants to play. He's going to continue to get better. And I want to say this before we get into the women's segment of the show. For Jaylen Brown last week, we saw him saying or mouthing that he doesn't believe Bronny's a pro. And someone did some research, and I shout out to that person. I forgot your name, but shout out to this person. They looked at Jaylen Brown's statistics when he was playing in the summer league. He had a worse shooting percentage than Bronny did. And you're calling him not a pro. Imagine someone who has battled so many times like Jaylen Brown to get where he is, for people ridiculing him and questioning his ability to play basketball, calling him, oh, you can't dribble with your left. Now you've won the Finals MVP. You won the NBA Finals with the Celtics, and you were the Eastern Conference MVP. You went through a lot of things, a lot of adversity to get where you are and win how you did. And for you to sit there on a sideline where a young player like a Bronny James, and not just him, but all these young players, is trying to compete and trying to make a name for themselves, and you have the audacity to say, so who is not a pro? That's not fair. And then to say, oh, it's because of his dad. We don't talk about Jerry Jones. We don't talk about the Manning brothers and their nephew playing for Texas. We don't talk about any of those things. We don't talk about Doc Rivers. We don't talk about Seth Curry and Steph Curry. There's a lot of family members and siblings and parents and children. There's a lot of things in that in sports. That's always been a thing. So what is an issue with LeBron wanting to put his child in the best situation possible? There's nothing wrong with that. And for people saying, oh, there was other players that didn't get, I get all that, but it's not Bronny's fault that his name is LeBron James Jr. and he was born to one of the greatest athletes in the world. That's not his fault. He is out there playing. He's not snobby, and he's doing what he can to compete. So for Jaylen Brown, I was really disappointed in that. And I'm not saying that Jaylen Brown is a mean, evil-spirited person. I just think that was very questionable, being that from where he came from to what he became. I was really shocked that he did that. But I digress. Let's get into the women's segment of the sport. So this is one of the hottest topics right now, is women's basketball. We all know we're going to continue to talk about it. I'm going to continue to talk about it because it's a hot topic in sports. The women's NBA All-Star Game was sensational. And when I say sensational, it was veterans, of course, the rookies. Everyone played their role and everyone had fun. And I was so happy to see a lot of the veterans and the rookies come together, and there was no hatred. There was all love with everyone. And I was really excited to see how this sport is unifying more and more people and more women to come together. Let's just talk about how it's grown. Last year's WNBA All-Star Game had 10,000 people. It has doubled. It reached over 18,000. And because it reached 18,000 was because the arena they were in could only seat 18,000. So we don't know if it could have been more if they were in a much bigger arena. So shout out to the WNBA for continuing to grow. And it has a lot to do with, of course, Caitlin Clark, of course, injuries, and these rookies that are continuing to show people that they belong. So let's get into some of the statistics. There were so many records broken in this game, it's ridiculous. Let's start with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark, even though she had 4 points and she didn't have the best offensive game, she led with assists and she broke the record for most assists by a rookie in a game. Like, shout out to Caitlin Clark continuing to show her dominance, continuing to show why she is the number 1 overall pick and why she is the woman that has led the way in a lot of different things. But let's not forget about that bad girl, Angel Reese, who also broke a record for being the first rookie to have a double-double in the WNBA All-Star Game. And she continues her double-double tirade as these two, and they were on the same side. And just seeing that assist to Angel Reese from Caitlin Clark just showed that these two women are steamrolling ahead for these young women in basketball. They are. Both of them, I have seen so many people in my comments from my videos that I posted about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and there's been so much hatred between both of these young women, and all these women are doing is hooping. All these women are doing is putting themselves on the map and putting women's basketball and female athletics in general on the map. And it's really sad to see people continuing to push this narrative of hate of these young women. And they've been nothing but class acts. They've been nothing but leading the charge and doing what they needed to do in order to compete at the highest level. And to those people, keep watching. They're going to continue to make you guys eat your words. They're going to continue to show you why they are the best two right now playing basketball as the rookies they are. Shout out to Angel Reese and shout out to Caitlin Clark. And I'm going to continue to ride for both of them because they both deserve their shine and they both deserve their just dues because they both bring great things to the sport of women's basketball. But let's talk about Arike Ogunbowale. She started off the first half, didn't have the best game. Didn't have it, no. But in the third quarter, 21 points just erupted, 21 points, and she ends up being the MVP for the WNBA All-Star Game. She is the fourth WNBA player to have multiple MVPs. She won MVP before for the All-Star. She is another talented player in this league, a vet that's been there doing this, and she showed out, and they were really happy for her. So when we look at these young women and what they're doing and these veterans, the WNBA is going to continue to rise. We have more young women coming as well. We have Juju Watkins coming. There's a Flau'jae is coming. There's a lot of girls coming that's going to continue to add to this train of success for the WNBA. So I'm really excited for where the WNBA is headed. And I want people to really pay attention, not because of skin color, not because they're women, but because they are talented athletes that are dominating right now in this sport, because the WNBA women's basketball has been the hottest topic the past 2 years. And you cannot tell me it hasn't, because the viewership has gone up. The interactions, the engagement has gone up, and a lot of fans love all these women doing what they need to do to compete at the highest level. So shout out to the WNBA. We're going to continue to ride for you. We're going to continue to ride for Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and many other women in this league. Again, I'm Jasmine Pollock. Thank you all for watching Jazz on Sports. You will see me next week on Monday as we continue to count down to the NFL and college football. Shout out to the college football game. It is sensational. The game looks amazing. The graphics, the audio, everything looks so good. So I'm really excited, and I have more content for you guys. So make sure to subscribe to Jazz on Sports to get more content. And thank you all for your continued support. Have a good one.